Move your butts up here. I've noticed that the top producers always sit towards the front. So if you're sitting in the back and you're a top producer, you're not doing yourself any justice. There's a seat here. You could probably fit one or two here. Looks like we got a couple saved here.
These aren't the chairs for that.
Why is PorchLight Bay Area in the back? Boo.
Bossing them up.
Boo. All right, Sean, come on up here. So, I want to say thank you to everybody for being here. This is our first event throwing at this office. Right here is our Spaces office. So we use this as our headquarters for PorchLight Bay Area. We have an office space up front. We have cubicles downstairs that we use for calling. This is our little home, and this is the first time that they've opened up their doors for us to hold an event here. So I just want to say thank you to Spaces, even though there's no representatives here and they're not hearing this. But thank you, Spaces, for giving us this venue. I really appreciate it. The catering, can we give a little quick clap if you don't have food in your mouth or stuff in your hands? So the caterers that came through, pretty good food here. I haven't tried it, but it looks good. None of this would be possible without our sponsor, and this is a good friend of mine. He happens to be a loan officer as well, but he's also a good friend of mine. He helped me with my personal home loan. We have hung out a ton off the business track, and if you're not following Adventure Lender on Instagram, he has a ton of video content. Not only is he a badass loan officer that you need to use for customer service, but he also creates a ton of content on Instagram. So one of the nicest things you can do for him, freaking paying a lot of money for this catering and event, is go follow him, tag him, show him some love on his social media. Not only that, but you'll learn a ton of stuff about making video content, as well as loan origination, the stuff that he talks about. He's heavy in VA buyers. He does a lot for that community as well. So I'm going to give him a moment to speak here. Please, everybody, give a nice round of applause for my friend and best loan officer in the Bay Area, Sean Carrero.
What's up, everyone? I'll be quick. How's the market been for everyone the last 3 months? Lots of buyers? Okay, so who's been in the business like 3 years? Anyone? Okay, so they're like the best 3 years we've ever seen. So what your buyers are thinking right now is that this is something new. It's not. It's the exact same business or market we had fourth quarter of 2018 and previously fourth quarter of 2016. So you need to show your clients what history looks like, because history is repeating itself right now. And this is truly the best time to buy. And I think the agent with the most buyers wins. This is all about listings today. The more buyers you have, the more listings you will have. So you want to have more people engaged, and you don't want to have people who are home buyers. You want home owners, right? Ask your clients, do you want to just be a home buyer, or are you trying to be a home owner? So I have a presentation that I do with agents called Success in the Shift that shows from a data perspective why this is such a great opportunity to buy, just like 2018, just like 2016. So if you guys want to do that together, I would love to do it. We just do webinars, database. You can drive leads to it all you want, but we want to make sure people don't miss out on this window of opportunity. If you're not creating content online, I'm happy to help you with that too. I shouldn't even say content, videos. Instagram said yesterday they are going to push photos even lower. So if you're posting your just listed, just sold photo, no one's going to see it. You got to make videos or no one's going to see you. So happy to help with those things. I'll give it back to Danny. Thank you all for coming. It's awesome to see everyone trying to grow. I appreciate it.
All right, once again, that's a venture lender on Instagram. Go give him some love, tag him, follow him, yada, yada. Truly is one of the better lenders that I've worked with, so please go show him some love. So now is the time. So we are here for Listing Legends. Raise your hand if you want to get listings. Raise your hand if you're just a badass listing agent already. All right, raise your hand if you just in your heart are a badass listing agent already. There you go. That's what I'm trying to see. Okay, cool. So one of the things that I see all the time is one of the things that and I'm sure all these guys can attest to it, specifically my boy Wilson at the end. We've gone to a lot of these events. We often are the ones sitting in the audience. And one of the things that I see all the time is we leave these events and we're so excited, we're so stoked about the content and the stuff that we just learned. And then 3 days later, what do?
drinking.
We go drinking, right? That's what Will said. We do nothing, right? We do nothing, zero, zilch with the content. And I would guess 10 to 20% of the people here will actually implement this stuff. So please, from the bottom of my heart, because I'm a big giver, if you're not following me on Instagram, I am the Giving Agents, but I think most of you guys are following that account. Go implement, go take action. Don't waste these guys' time by not doing something with what you learned today. And if they give you something, please give them back and give them their own shout out on their social media channels. Give them gratitude towards what they're doing here, giving up their time. So I'm going to shut up. Give a big round of applause for the listing legends. We'll get going. All right, so first we're going to start with a quick introduction. We're just going to go down the line. We're going to ask for names, 2021 production, as well as 2022 on-pace production, just so you guys get a taste of the credibility and the monsters you're looking at. Lex.
What about yourself? Don't forget yourself.
My name's Danny Burgess. I'm with PorchLight Bay Area. Our team is on pace to sell 140 units for roughly 175 million. Last year we did 92 units for 122 million. And before that, we were non-existent before that year. So yeah, thank you very much, Wilson. Appreciate that. Lex.
Lex Orozco, BRG Realty. Thanks for having me. Really excited to be here. Last year, 110 million. Right now at 112 million for the year. Projections, I don't really do projections, just whatever we can get done in every day to get more listings. That's the goal. Try to get a listing a day, and kind of stay into that pace. So thank you.
Hey everybody, I'm Rusty Pop. I'm with Intero Real Estate Services in San Jose. And last year I did 40 million, no team and a part-time assistant. This year I am looking at doing probably about 50 million. But I think as we go on, we'll talk about why I don't really focus on those numbers.
Well, I'm Xander Nichols and I'm with PorchLight. So last year's sales were 22.5 total. The list side was 8.4, and then my 2022 stats so far, 12.5 million for listing side, and then a little under 27 sales to date for this year.
What's up, guys? My name's Wilson Leong from Millbrae. Last year's production was 181 million, and that was about 150 sides. This year, so far, I believe we're at 104, 105 year to date for production. I don't know how many units that is, about 100. And looking forward to sharing what I can to help everyone.
All right, I swear I should have looked at this before we started, but I'm a wing it kind of guy. So let's go back to the email I sent last night. All right. So let's get going. We're going to go over top listing source over the last 12 months and why you've chosen that path. So what is your main source for listings and why are you attacking that? And then 1, 2, 3 actionable steps. Feel it out. Let's feel it out. So where you're getting your top listings, where you're getting your listings, and why did you choose that path? Okay. And we'll just go down the line.
All right. So our number one source of listings is likely going to be farming. I started door knocking about 8 years ago, inconsistently, not consistently. And eventually that was supplemented by my delivery service, USPS. Nowadays, we do 24 mailers per year per physical address to owner-occupieds, and we are doing also 24 mailers to absentees in the cities that we serve. The primary city that we serve is South San Francisco. We currently have about 11, almost 12% market share for listings. And only if our buyer's agents would pick up the slack a little more, only one of them is here today, we probably would have a larger market share. So, and that is going to continue to grow. It started as a 500 home farm.
Beautiful. Action steps.
Are we doing action steps?
It's an action step.
Action steps is to pre-plan your budget, is to talk to these two good-looking gentlemen right here for feedback on how you could start. I'm assuming part of your strategy might be calls or farming, one of those. and then you can obviously ask me too. But we're here to help you. So first is plan your budget. Second is talk to one of us or all of us and put a game plan together and just stick to it. If you can't stick to it, have either your executive assistant follow that, or have a significant other or someone in your life that wants to see you succeed.
So for this year, I've seen a pretty big increase from the year before that, and it was primarily due to contacting my sphere and past client referrals that I've received. The big thing would be you have to ask for business. So every time I've figured out a way to do that and how to be tactful, people have delivered. And I think that that's just, it's so difficult to ask the people that you care about to please give me somebody that I can talk to that wants to buy or sell. But those are oftentimes the clients that you really do want to work with. They're already kind of in your sphere, in your vibe, and I think that those are the people that you could walk into a listing appointment, and it's going to be close to 100% of the time, if you get the proper introduction, that you'd be able to sign that and close it. So, it's probably 80% of the listings that I've had the whole time I've been in real estate have been warm introductions, and it's just made it a lot easier. The tricky part is asking those people around you at the end of the phone call, this is just me. Who do you have that I can talk to that needs to buy or sell? And just make it a part. It's uncomfortable, but people know that that's what you do, and it's okay to ask the ones you love, for business. So I think that's what I got.
All right, so by a show of hands, I want everybody here to raise your hand if you know who the King of Pop is. Basically, everybody knows who the King of Pop is, right? So one of the things about real estate is that it's a lot like how he was successful. It's about being famous, except for the King of Pop is famous worldwide, right? Well, in real estate, getting listings especially, but even getting buyers to some degree, is about being famous in either a geographical area or, like Xander was talking about, within your friends and family list. The inclination that people have, I think, is that you're going to be able as a salesperson to convince somebody to buy or sell a house. But no one has ever been convinced to buy or sell a house. People buy or sell houses because a life event happens to them. Like, nobody ever is like, oh, it's a really good time to sell. Fuck, I better do it right now, right? Or it's a really good time to buy because interest rates are low. People don't do it because of that. They do it because they got divorced. They do it because they had a baby and now their house is too small. They do it because their kids moved away to college and now their house is too big and they want to downsize, or they're retiring. These life events actually cause people to sell their homes or to buy homes. And so what you need to do in order to be successful is become famous enough to where when those life events happen, triggers them to think, I need to sell my house. Who do they think of when it comes to that? And the way that I've done that has been through two things, and they're actually equal when you ask about my listing lead sources. Farming is one, and then the second one is COI. So those two combined actually are about 50-50. And for me, I think I probably did 2 buyer sales last year as compared to like 33 listings. So I'm almost 100% listing agent. And by being famous, what I mean is that you have to be extremely, extremely consistent. And the way that ties into Michael Jackson is that Michael Jackson literally was very good at what he did, and he did it, probably put out an album a year almost on average from the time he was like 6 years old till he was 43, right? And that's the kind of consistency you have to have with farming. And I'd be happy to talk to anybody with more specifics about, what do I do that makes that work better? But the main thing is about being consistent and making yourself famous. You need them to remember you when it's time for them to list their home. Because really what it comes down to is when they're ready, they need to know who to call.
Can we pause real quick for you, Rusty? Get the mic back. So one of the things he said was he took 33 listings to buyers last year. So 35 units, 33 of those were listings. I want to ask you, what does that do for your lifestyle, having 33 listings versus 33 buyers?
Okay, this needs to be a secret, okay, because I don't want any of my clients to know this, but I probably work 3 hours a day. So
This is
does
why I
that
love Rusty. This is why I have Rusty. That's what I want.
does that answer your question? And the two buyers that I represented, they were both tied to a listing. So the only reason I took them on is because part of getting the listing was actually helping them buy a house.
So one of the things that I love about KW, Keller Williams, where I learned the business, was they beat us into our head, listings equal leverage. And leverage is what gives you the lifestyle we're all after. Listings is the key to that. How many of us love sitting in traffic showing buyers homes? Just raise your hand if you love sitting in traffic showing buyers homes. You don't have to do that for your listing. Nobody raised their hand. I don't know. Listings equal leverage. This is how you get the lifestyle you're looking for, is by being like these guys. Lex, go for it, brother.
Wait, this
COI is a center of influence, which basically means people that you know, friends, family of friends, that sort of thing. Database.
So about 98% of my business this year has came from listings. All of it comes from, our farming, my marketing. At our height, we've slowed down a bit. We are doing about 400,000 homes a month. Quickly got to realize that as much as you leverage, it's still a lot of business to handle. So I had to scale it down a bit. But Rusty said it, consistency is the biggest thing when it comes to farming. I farm, probably right now about 200,000 homes once a month. And the goal is really to, when I go to listing appointments these days, clients are telling me, hey, seems like you've been mailing me every day. And that's kind of the thought that you want people to have, that you're in their mailbox every day, when in actuality, I'm only doing it once a month. But the message resonates so much. And, the thing that I think, kind of gets me about, new people or people who've been in the business for a long time is that if this is the career that you plan on doing for, a lifetime, why would you not invest in yourself, invest in a farm, and get going early? Because that's the biggest mistake that I ever made. When I would farm and then I would bounce around and go to different areas and try different things, realizing I probably, wasted about 150K and just money thrown away because I didn't stay consistent. Whereas once I stayed to a specific area, I found a lot of success. People really, kind of felt that I was that famous person in the area. And, the call is a lot different when you come. They've already seen you many times. They've already known your stats. And, for me, the biggest action point when I talk to any person that comes in and they start asking me about price and how much it costs, you can do things very, very cheap. Eric Fisher from, Ontario, he's one of their top guys, and I always give his story. He walks the same, 4,000 or 5,000 homes every month. Spends very minimal on farming. He's been doing it for over 20 years. And I think he sold about 150 million last year. So it just goes to show you that there's different ways of farming. You don't have to spend a ton. I do. I got a bad back. I can't get out there and walk homes. But if I was good, I'd be walking an hour a day. An hour a day will allow you to drop 100 flyers a day. And that over time will build. And if you can be consistent in that, you will get a lot of business. You just have to stay the course.
I'd like to add to that.
Just really quickly, I'd like to add to that. So I personally do 10,000 homes, and I drop the flyers on all 10,000 of those homes. I personally do about 3,000, and then I hire out the other 7. Actually, my photographer, videographer's in the audience here. He designs all the flyers, and he drops about 3,000 himself. And it doesn't really cost much at all.
Lex,
I'll add that too. Oh, one more thing. And just knowing, knowing where Rusty's at and how, well he's done his farm over the years, I know if I go into that neighborhood, it's going to be a real tough shot for me to have any chance of getting it because they know him so well and they know how many houses he sold there. So building that reputation within the area is just so, so important.
Lex, can you talk to me about where you started in terms of the amount and how quickly you scaled up to 400,000? I mean, that's a shit ton of homes.
Yeah.
And then what's the cadence look like? How often are you hitting them?
So once a month. With that, do a lot of research on cost and getting your cost down as low as possible. I've heard people come in and tell me they're paying, 50, 60 cents per unit. I do 8x11 flyers, and I also do a trifold that goes in a handwritten, envelope. And both of those costs are under 35 cents, even lower in some instances. So you can get your costs down really low. Sorry, what was your question? So
how quickly did you scale and then cadence?
So once a month. I started really heavy last year in March, and that's when I really started, ratcheting up. And it seemed like every month I was adding like 40, 50,000. So I was pretty far behind. You gotta understand that it's gonna cost money. Rusty said it, a budget is really important. Setting your budget for a year and knowing that money's probably gonna be gone, right? And understanding that you're probably not gonna get that back for about 12 to 18 months, and being okay with that. So start with a small budget and, just work your way up. I tell my agents, how much can you spend a month? Can you spend 500, 250, whatever that is, times it by 3, that's the amount of homes that you should be able to get, and start from there and build up and do open houses and do everything else to supplement your business while your farm's growing. Because over time, it's going to start equaling out. And then eventually you will get to just being, leveraging and just being a listing agent.
Who would like to see the content that they're sending out for their farm?
It's probably in your mailbox already.
If you guys follow all of them on their social media platform and Instagram, are you guys okay with putting a picture of your flyer on your Instagram?
Sure.
So give them a follow, and they'll post their flyers today or tomorrow on their Instagram for each of you guys to look at and copy. Is that cool?
Yeah. One other quick thing too is that Lex talked about being patient, and one of the things about it is that you have to understand that it is something that's going to take you a while. So like he said, basically, if you're going to start a farm, you need to figure out the budget and then multiply that by 18, and that's how much money you just wrote a check for. Because if you stop, the only way to fail at farming is to quit farming. In fact, Lex has one of my old farms that I quit, and he's killing it in that farm, and I am not. That's a true story, actually. But the other thing about it is that you got to think about the numbers. So if you're farming 1,000 homes, a seasoned farm, unless you're doing 11% like Wilson over here, you're going to get, on a seasoned farm, you're going to get 3 listings out of every 1,000 per year. So it's not like this magic bullet where you start farming 1,000 homes and all of a sudden you're going to get 20 deals a year. It doesn't work like that. So you start with 1,000. Don't start less than 1,000.
Again, walking is free. Put on some, workout clothes, put on a hat, go out, meet the neighbors. But you'll do so much and you'll get some exercise, and it doesn't take you long to hit 100 homes a day. So I really always tell every agent that I have, get out there and do that. It's really, really cheap, free, and you'll see it start growing over time.
Which is a really good segue to somebody who I know who does this at a very high level. If you guys ever pull broker metrics, you can actually see who the agents are with market share. If you look at South San Francisco, it is disgusting how much market share Wilson has versus everyone else. Like, sickening. It's like he's taken 85 listings or something in the past 12 months. The next person's taken 12. I don't know. Whatever. 3 years. Whatever. You don't have to correct me on that. Come on. We're on camera. We can go back and edit. So anyways, Wilson, talk to me a little bit about your journey. I know you've done a shit ton of door knocking. I love your story. I love your brand. I mean, if you don't know Wilson, if you know Wilson, you know he has a corgi. He has 2 corgis. One's a puppy. And anyways, talk to me a little bit about that story, your journey through that. I know this is a little off script, but I really want to hear about how you've turned your door knocking and your events into your business model.
When I started, I didn't believe in door knocking because I was probably too shy or didn't know what to say. The same things that you guys are probably thinking if you haven't started. And it was something that limiting belief after limiting belief was needed to be overcome over the years that I've done it. So when I started as a cold caller using Mojo dials. I circle prospected. And that was during the time where scrubbing, not scrubbing was at the cusp of you should start scrubbing. As you guys know, the do not call list wasn't always there. So previously, if we started our careers, we didn't have to go through that. It's different times now. So what I realized was I could call the people month over month, but if I never put my face in front of them, they're not going to remember, even if they heard my voice 12 times in a year. It just became so much more impactful if you met the neighbor one time in the farm, made a good first impression, even if it was a 15-second dialogue. Hi, bye, how's your day? Great, I'm so happy to meet you. Here's some information. I'll see you next month. Even that alone over a period of time is going to cement you as top of mind because there's no one else that's going to do it. And that's how we've been able to gain market share from, it started as a 500 then 1,000, then eventually just became the whole city of 15,000, 16,000 addresses. Technically, it's 18,000, but about 2,000 is absentees. So when I started, I found an agent that lived in my farm. Her son was a 14-year-old that wanted to make some cash, and that was my USPS delivery. Part of the farm I did myself, but I knew I wasn't as consistent to be able to do all 3,000, 5,000 in the beginning, and I had someone else do it. And if someone's getting guaranteed pay, they're more likely to commit to putting it out there. What I realized about canvassing or farming and eventually knocking is that you isolate your piece, and they have to single it out and look at it. And as annoyed as they are, they're going to remember you. They are first going to be probably detractors that hate you, and eventually they're going to admire you for your consistency. So you want to get to the point where you're going to go over to low. Of course, there's still always going to be people that never want to talk to you, that's going to slam the door in your face, all of that. But that's fine. You still made an impression. That's probably part of the goal. You want to make an impression, because that moment, when that moment happens where life event happens, they remember you still. They will still remember the positive of you being out there so consistently that you are still one of the first people, maybe the only person they call, because you've been consistent. So it started off that way. Eventually, it was 12 times a year. I got advice from Andy C., who does Saratoga, and if you guys know Saratoga, he dominates that market. He told me the first thing you should do after my conversation a year ago, bump up your frequency from 12 to 24 per year. And I thought it was a lot more, but it did influence our business last year. So, of course, it took some time to get to the point where maybe the impact was a positive one, but that's kind of how it started.
Talk to me a little bit about two things. Try to keep this in a couple minutes, because you're talking so much, Wilson. So talk to me about the tools that you use door knocking, okay, and then talk to me about how you've integrated events into your farming and your door knocking.
So the quick and easy is every so often we have some sort of event. We have 2 picnics a year, spring picnic for Easter, and then a fall picnic for back to school. We also have a shredding event where I just contact the company, pay $500, and the shredding truck shows up. I'm just there in the random part of the neighborhood for 3 hours. I invite everyone to come out on my postcards, and the neighbors love it. They have, statute of limitations is 5-7 years in some cases. People keep paperwork. They come out. It's a good, easy interaction. We also do movie days. We also do educational events. And those educational events used to be at the library, somewhat similar to this, where you would have an event space, but now it's all online. So because there's always an event to promote, it's much easier to invite someone to an event, to capture their contact information, to ask them 3 times, than it is for them to, you talk about real estate, the listing down the street. You could, I think you mix it in, maybe 1 in every 3 or every 4, you talk about that. But you also want to show them that you are a community-driven person. At least that's how it's positively impacted my business, our business, where when we talk about community, they're more likely to be reciprocating and having a conversation with you.
I like to call it the Trojan horse, right? The Trojan horse is the event that puts them in front of the door, that gives them the conversation with the person, and he's adding value to their life. And then it naturally goes to, hi, I'm also a real estate agent, right? He also uses an app to track his door knocking as well, which I think if you're going to be flyer dropping and door knocking, it's really important to track what you're doing. Can you just share what that is?
Yeah, it's not a door-to-door app. It's just a Map My Walk by Under Armour. It tracks the squiggly lines as you go from street to door, street to door, street to door. And the reason why I started tracking that was when I hired someone even to canvas for me, I wanted to know this person was actually doing what I asked them to do, and I'm paying them. So if they can prove that their route was 49 minutes and the next route was 36 minutes and we can add it up, I'm paying by the hour. I'm also estimating how many flyers this person would get out per hour. Sometimes some neighborhoods allow for 100, some are a little more hilly, more gates, might take 75 per hour. But I think if we give a benchmark of performance and we track it, it probably helps the accountability.
Thanks, Wilson. Was that gold? Was that freaking gold? You guys can Venmo me at. Okay, so we're gonna switch pace a little bit. So now we've gotten the listing appointment, right? Because we've called canceled and expireds. We've called our sphere of influence. We've circled prospected. We farmed. However we did it, we got the appointment. Now we're going to move to listing legends, listing appointment. So let's talk a little bit about your approach to the listing appointment. Any tips, tricks you can give us on the listing appointment would be great. And then if you want to, if we have time, we'll circle back around and maybe sprinkle in a little bit of a what not to do from a story or two. So Xander, why don't you start with a couple tips and tricks for going on the listing appointment?
So a couple things, circling back to the first thing that I had answered, I really want to go on a listing appointment where I know I'll get it. I just prefer to walk in knowing that I'll get it. So hack your system. I mean, find people that, want you to be coming over. You know they're likely not interviewing anyone else. So you would have to fail your way out before, anything else. You'd have to really screw it up to not get it. So that's what I would do. And then with regards to some of the more toss-up stuff, like if you really got a cold introduction or found somebody through other means, I think even with mailers, you have a good chance at walking in, feeling confident. The person's probably heard your name or seen your name 50 times, and you're just not going to get grilled. Likely not going to get grilled the same way that you would if it was met through other means. So I think how you meet somebody is really important going into the listing presentation. The other thing I did earlier this year was I filmed myself for 30 days in a row on Zoom, doing my listing consultation. And it's extremely tedious and really a lot of time spent looking at yourself. But I don't know, like probably 5-6 days in, you start to realize like, okay, that line needs to get used. That line needs to never get used again. And it helped me reflect on it. It helped me kind of just feel comfortable in those moments where I want to know what I'm going to say. If you do it 30 times, you're building a level of just kind of putting yourself in their shoes. Like what is the worst thing this person could ask me at any given moment? If I've never sold a home in Santa Clara and they ask me that question, how am I going to answer that? So doing that just got me comfortable. I do a lot of these, my listing consults over Zoom, and then we'll come and take a look at the house later. So that side of things really made me more comfortable.
Awesome. Rusty?
So first of all, I think what Xander just said was amazing. The 30 days of Zoom practicing your listing presentation, every agent should do that. One of the things that I found, so you wouldn't know this because I'm sitting up here right now, but in my life and even into the real estate business for about 13 years of my career, I was extremely shy. Like, for example, when I was going to show houses, one of the most nerve-wracking parts of my day was calling other agents to ask if it was okay if I showed their listing. That's how shy I was. And now I'm up here today. And the reason that I'm up here today and I'm able to talk to you guys and look people in the eye when I talk to them and all that is because I practiced over and over and over again. It was basically like I was really weak and I went to the gym and lifted weights until I got good at speaking to people. So that confidence is what makes you attractive. And on a listing appointment, you need to be attractive. So being confident is super, super important. So practicing what you're going to say over and over and over again is the most important thing that you could possibly do. The other thing is that, it is true that if they know you, it's way easier. Like in my farm, because I do farm it and I've been doing it for quite a while, and because they know me so well, people that I've never met before actually think they know me. Like it's really like that. Like they'll come to open houses where I'm like not hosting it, but I'll just stop in to see how my host is doing, and they'll be like, "Oh, is that the real Rusty Pop?" Or they'll be like, "Oh yeah, I've known him he's been farming here for 30 years." And it's like, I'm 40. like they act like they changed my diapers when I was a kid, like, right? So it's way easier going into a listing appointment like that, but I still treat it as if I'm not going to get, like, not that I'm not going to get it, but I treat it as if I need to do my best to get it every single time. The other thing is, is you can't want it too bad. So for me, one of the things that I did in my business was I stepped away from sort of my why as being personal. So now I made it to where my why is, like when I said that I don't really know my numbers that well, it's because I don't make my goals based on how much money I'm going to make or how many houses I'm going to sell. I make my goals based on how much money is my gardener going to make from the listings that I have him go cut the grass. How much money is my stager going to make? How much money is Joey going to make? And by making my goals that way, I remove myself from the situation and I'm much more attractive, because then I'm not there to make $40,000 or $50,000. I'm there to help people. And that's a vibe, right? People feel that. So that's one thing that I can give you is take yourself out of the scenario so you don't have that like commission ooze on you, right? And then the final thing that I would say is make sure that when you're presenting to people, so here's the thing, you can be the best farming agent ever and get the most appointments, but if you suck on the appointment, you will not be successful, okay? So this is super, super important. If you go into people's houses and you tell them how wonderful you are, all the shit you're going to do to get their house sold for top dollar, but top dollar is not their main priority, you wasted everyone's fucking time, okay? What I do is I love F-bombs. The thing that I do, I actually cuss in front of clients too, just so you know. I ask people at the very beginning, I tour the house, and then I sit down with them, and I say, whenever I meet with a new seller that's thinking of selling their house, I like to ask what's most important to them. And of these three answers, can you tell me what is most important to you? Is it A, getting top dollar, the highest possible price and the most money in your pocket at the end of the day? Or is it B, having to be the easiest, smoothest process that you can possibly have? Or is it C, selling your house to the best buyer for your neighborhood? Okay? If they say C, they're racist. But most of the time it's A or B, or sometimes they say it's all three, right? But the thing is that I know something about them now. If top dollar is what they want, then they're achievers and they're going to be willing to go through pain to get there, right? If they say that having the easiest possible process is their thing, then you know that you need to focus your appointment more on how you're going to make their life easy while you sell their house. And then if it's three, it actually means not that they're racist, but that they care, that they're a caring person, more so than money. So if you go into that caring person and you tell them how you're going to do all this crazy work to their house to make it look beautiful so you can sell it for top dollar, and all they really wanted to do was make sure that a nice family bought it, you wasted your time, right? So asking that question is something that I thought of myself, and I'm giving it all to you guys, so use it against me. But it's honestly, I've been doing it for like 2.5 years, and it's made a massive difference in my success rate.
So a couple of things. Prep work is really big for me. I go into a lot of different areas. I farm some areas, but I'm farming pretty much everywhere. So to me, knowing who your competition is really important. I like to joke around with clients. I always make a lot of the same cheesy jokes, but they kind of always work. But a lot of times I'll ask them, they'll tell me, hey, I'm interviewing multiple people. And I'll ask them straight up, like, well, if I guess 2 out of the 3 people that you're interviewing, will you give me the listing right now? They always say no. But I can name who I'm going up against pretty much every time, because I do so much research on the market, so much, knowing who has market share where, how much production they've done, what house they've sold. I go into it knowing all those things and really like using that. The other thing, Rusty really said it, the questions you ask, and more importantly, listening to what they say. I don't really have a listing presentation. It's all kind of free flow for me because it's all based on what they say. And you'll get the right answers if you just, clean out your ears and just like listen up a little bit. And you can learn how to adjust on the fly very, very quickly, based on what they say. One thing I try to avoid when I go on appointments is speaking about price. And everyone always gets shocked when I say that, but we see how the market's changing right now and how fast things are moving. And, this week it's good, next week it's not so good. When you pick up a listing, chances are you're 2 weeks, you're a month away from, putting the house on the market. So why are we really discussing price right now when there's still homes that are in escrow right now that haven't posted? Maybe the agent won't tell you what they're selling for. That could change your mindset on where you're going to list the price or where it's going to sell for. So I try to get out of there. I try to focus on what, I do and what my team does best is setting up the property, making it look as best as possible to show online. And we'll discuss price the day before we go on the market. We'll really worry about that then. If you're sitting there, trying to discuss price with them and trying to, fight it out, hey, my house is worth this, well, the market tells you this, you're going to lose that battle every time. If you do have to talk about price, what I've kind of shifted over to is kind of a twofold approach. I'll let them know, look, we can go about this one of two ways. We can get this house sold quick. We're going to have to price aggressively, and we're going to have to, hope it moves quickly. That's not happening a lot, but, the price is going to be very aggressive. Or let's go into it with a higher price, understanding that potentially it's going to sit for multiple weeks, and in 2 weeks, we've already agreed that we're going to do a price drop, an aggressive price drop. But some people, they kind of, are in love with their house and they think it's worth more than it is. And you just have to show them by being on the market multiple weeks that it's not worth what you think it is. Or some people are just like, hey, quick sale, price it aggressively. I want to get out of here. I need to get on to my next, purchase or whatever it is. So, being able to, adjust on the fly and listen to what they're saying and build your presentation off of that. To me has been something that, has been really important. I, feel I've learned from the best. I learned from the same person, Rusty did. And that's kind of how he did his thing. Like he never had really a set plan. It's just like, well, let's see how it goes, and that's kind of how I do things.
Holy moly. Whoever's taking notes, send those to me. Thank you guys so much. There's so much to unpack there. I'm going through all my listing presentations. I'm like, but the one thing that you guys have to understand is every single seller is just a different human being with different problems. And you have to unclog your ears and listen and address their problems appropriately. I think what Rusty said about the 3 options is really cool. And I've actually personally lost listings because I was going in when I first got in started thinking that everybody wanted the most amount of money. So I'd be like, oh, we gotta do this, we gotta do that. I got a whole contracting team. We'll do it for half price. We'll do it fast. And the lady's sitting there thinking, I don't want to, remodel my bathroom, right? I'd rather take $50K less and get to Austin or wherever they're going, right? So I just think that's critical piece there for us to listen to. Okay, let's wrap back around and then we'll go into Q&A. The market is shifting, right? We're feeling that. Oh, by the way, I sold one of Lex's listings this year and he beat the shit out of me and made my buyers overpay. So I just want to put that on record. So we feel the market is shifting, right? Things are changing. NAR is projecting 30% of realtors are out of the business in the next 12 to 24 months. That's what I'm talking about. So, are you guys doing anything differently? Kind of take this as an open-ended question. What are your thoughts? Sean, if you want to chime in at all here, you can as well. Let's just go through just a couple quick minutes, top of the mind. What are you thinking? What are you excited about? And we'll just take it from there.
I'm really excited that, I think, unfortunately, a lot of people get listings and they don't really know what they're doing. And, when you call them, they're not picking up their phone, they're not answering, they're not receptive. And that kind of bothers me because no matter how much business I have, I think anyone who's called me can attest that I never miss a phone call. I'm on top of everything always. And I make that a priority. And I think that should be a priority to, your sellers because that's what they deserve. So I'm happy that, unfortunately, a lot of people are going to be out of the business. My mindset is always, projecting forward and, thinking what's going to happen a couple years down the line. I'm thinking about when Google is going to hit downtown San Jose and how powerful I'm going to be at that time. And that's, I'm always forward thinking. And I think everyone else here should be too. I think my biggest, thing I'd like to leave everyone with and what I found out kind of too late in the game was go find yourself a mentor, go find yourself someone who you can, learn from and, cut your learning curve in half. I wanted to say this coming up here. I kind of owe a lot of my success to Rusty sitting next to me. I don't even think he realizes why I'm saying this, but, he was with a great team leader and decided to lead that team leader. And because he did, I got the opportunity to jump on that team. And that really, from the day I joined that team, it, changed my life, my career, everything about this business, because I was able to learn from, one of the best. So, definitely thanks to him. I wouldn't be sitting in this spot if he wouldn't decide to, go out on his own and kill his own business. But, I'm super fortunate because I found the right person, and it really helped me out so much in my business. So I really urge you guys, don't be proud, find someone who can help you out. And, that'll keep you in the business. That'll keep you, how you should really be doing this business.
You're welcome, motherfucker. Actually, the whole mentor thing is that's very, very big. I agree with him. I was in the business for 13 years and actually went and joined a team and became like a brand new buyer's agent after closing 15 deals a year for the last 5 years before that. So humbling myself and finding somebody to follow changed my career. I went from making $200,000 to $1 million as a result of it, period. The market shift, I've been telling my sellers to expect a market shift since March of last year because I saw it coming and because it's always coming. The market's ever evolving. It's never going to stop evolving. And not talking about price. I do talk about price on my listing appointments, but the way that I talk about price is that we don't actually have control of it. That is a function of the market. Buyers actually decide what the prices are going to be, not us as sellers and listing agents. I don't tie myself to that price. And as a result, when they don't get the price that they think their house is worth, it's not my fault, right? The other thing I tell people is that if we do everything we can on everything we do and we don't cut any corners, whatever result we get has to be the best result because that's how the world works. And they always agree with me on that. So, so when the market started shifting, I had already had those conversations with my sellers about that. Hey, the market actually might start shifting. They knew about it from the listing appointment all the way going forward. And they knew that I'm not tied to the price, so it's not my fault that the market's changing, right? The other thing that I'll leave you with as far as the market is concerned, those of you that are active in the business right now with buyers or with sellers, the market is not what it looks like. The market's way hotter than it looks like, okay? When it comes to what's on the market right now, 75% of houses are overpriced because you have 75% of sellers who want to get April money. They're not going to get April money. That was a lottery ticket that those lucky sellers got, that his unlucky buyers paid, right? But they got a good interest rate, so it makes up for it, right? So long story short is that 75% of houses are not actually for sale because those sellers are money motivated and they're not going to actually sell their house for less than those April dollars. And so they're going to cancel. This happened in 2018. A ton of people canceled because they were money motivated. The half or the quarter or 35% of houses that are actually for sale and are priced appropriately are selling immediately with multiple offers. So when you're talking to sellers, make sure you're letting them know, like, get March, April out of your mind and actually look at what prices were in December and January, maybe February, because that's more like what today's market is going to get you. Everything in between is an anomaly, right? And so once you do that, then you put the house on the market and you don't have to, you may have to do price reductions if in fact it's worse than you thought. But for the most part, you will actually circumvent the need for a price reduction. So that's my thought on the market.
Yeah, I think there was a couple points that I would agree with there. The other thing is if you start to see red flags with somebody and their expectation around price, chances are you're going to start to see other red flags, which is, hey, what's our kickback? Are you going to pay for XYZ? So the dominoes start to fall. I really don't want to work with somebody like that. It's not like I can just turn away business left and right, but every so often, if you encounter somebody that really does not deserve your time, don't give it to them. Don't sign the listing. Let somebody else list it. And when it screws up, you can talk to them later. So I think that's kind of sometimes just making it across the field without getting shot is a win. And that's a sad way to look at it. But there will be a lot of expireds and cancels for you to call. So call those because those people really do need help and they need someone to just be honest with them. So that's hopefully the direction I want to go the next year or two.
For sellers that we're meeting with right now, I help them focus on the long-term view. I look at a lot of data. I share with them a lot of data. A lot of data is in the past. but cycles do follow trends, and I do my best to educate them. And education does not mean I go for the one call close, although there's always going to be that opportunity to sign that listing that day. I want them to make that really good decision that's going to positively affect their family in the long run. So if they're thinking about moving for whatever reason, I would challenge the thought, and I would understand if they could still see themselves living here. I would calculate their cap gains. I advise I'm not a tax advisor, but I want to make sure you know what you're netting and what you're doing with what you're netting. Are you going to buy something else? Are you moving out of area? How does that affect everything that's going to go on with your life? As long as the long-term picture still makes sense for them to sell the property, then I start talking about the process. Then I start talking a little bit more about how is their price or the sales process going to be affected based on today's market. So I focused the conversation at the beginning a lot about their long-term goals. I act as more of a consultant, and I think that usually does very well. Even if they do not decide to sell and they call me tomorrow or the week after, I'm completely fine with it, because at the end of the consultation, I always tell them, I'm just happy I was able to meet with you to give you the information so you can make the best decision moving forward for your family. And if you decide not to sell and you call me tomorrow and you tell me, I'm not going to feel bad about it. I feel good about it that I came here to give you that information. And I want them to feel that. And for the most part, that earns a lot of trust. If they don't sell now, if they do sell now, great. If they don't sell now, guess who they're going to call 3 years, 5 years, 10 years down the line? Because I'll probably still be here, or at least our brand is going to be here. So we're playing the long game. Of course, we can go into the strategy specifically on listing a property in this market, but I'm pretty sure it's going to be, they gave some great advice there already too. So.
Real quick.
Yeah, here you go, Sean.
So who has buyers that aren't buying right now? Show of hands.
Buyers that aren't buying right now.
Anyone have listings to themselves? You guys control the market. You guys control the buyers. And so the information you provide to them
Is what makes them buy or not buy. Okay, so your lender needs to participate in that because they control the money. So there's strategies that I use with Danny's team all the time to get people to overcome and see the value. Like, oh, I'm going to rent. You know how expensive renting is? It's 100% interest. Here's how much you're going to pay over 3 years. Blows their mind, they jump in. You guys control the buyers. You have to overcome the noise from their mom and their dad and their friends and the media. Name one time the media has ever said it's a good time to buy. Last 2 years, don't buy. It's going up too fast. Now, don't buy. Rates are too high. There's never a good time to buy. Somebody asked me during that success in the shifting, Sean, do you think there's ever a bad time to buy? I was like, oh, I've never been asked. No. Last year, year before, lowest interest rates. You're beating inflation, right? That's what everyone said. Oh, it's free money. You're beating inflation. 5% is beating inflation right now. So we have to educate them. Like Wilson said, that's everything to me is education. That creates a more confident buyer. And then you sell the property and that buyer becomes a future listing.
Woo! Bring that heat. You know, one thing I just want to bring up, and this is not listing necessarily a message about listing, but I said a statistic earlier. I said 30% of the realtors are going to be out of the business in 12, 24 months. Let me ask you guys this. How many of us have been in the business less than 3 years? Raise your hand. I will bet you that that statistic for you guys is significantly higher than 30%. So if you were scared when I said 30%, it's probably much more drastic for the people who have been in this business for less than 3 years. So right now is the time for you to get... What? What?
I want to share
I'm talking. Sorry. I love this guy. We go back too far. You know, so right now is the time that you need to triple down on your skills, triple down on your efforts, triple down on your mindset, triple down on your family life so your spouses will support your endeavors as an entrepreneur. I mean, this is it, guys. This is your doer. If you know me, I get chills when I start spitting the fire. So you truly, guys, this is your time. And this is the time you have to go all in on your business. This is not a 50% time. This is an all-in time for you guys who have been in the business less than 3 years because the target is on your back. These guys are going nowhere. How many of these guys are going to fail out of the business? None of them, right? You guys are the ones with the target on your back right now as the market is shifting because you don't have that big database, that big client past sale database to rely on. You just don't have it. So now is the time for your skills, your effort, showing the fuck up, right, is going to come in clutch for you. Wilson?
Yeah, just quickly along the stats of agents. It's also because if you look at the last downturn in six, seven, eight, I believe there were about 6 million sales nationwide. That dropped down to 4 at its lowest point. So if 33% of the business or the houses are not going to be for sale, there's also 33% of the business that's not going to be available for us as agents.
Yeah, and this is not a fear thing. I really am not trying to scare you guys out of the business. This is just a me being real and knowing that the effort is not there for most of the new agents that I run across. Like across the board, across the country. I was speaking in front of 550 agents last week in Vegas, and we were there as a powerhouse together working on our skills, and there were agents there that were brand new and agents that have been in the business. Alex Lair was there practicing his scripts with us in the room. The guy's been in the business for 30 years. So not a scare thing. It's just a reality thing. Okay, let's open it up for Q&A. So questions about the listing process, about getting listings. We're going to open it up. What time is it?
12:09.
12:09. Okay, so we got about 20 minutes. Does anybody have a hard stop time? Lex, Rusty? No? I know Lex, I think you have another event today.
Tonight.
Lex. Okay, we'll go over here.
Hey everyone, I'm Ernesto, eXp Realty Walnut Creek. I had a very specific question that I need help with and why I drove here. Lex, I see you do this. Wilson, you do this as well. When you front clients' money for rehabs, where does that money come from?
Not anymore.
And how do you, okay, so I'm interested to know why. A, where does the money come from? And B, how do you protect yourself to make sure you don't get taken advantage of?
Great question. So this is the renovation now model, the front the money for the flip, and then the seller pays you back on the proceeds. Who wants to take it?
So a little bit scary. I was doing a lot of it on my own. I was charging for it, so I would charge a much higher, percentage for it. And, it's really about seeing the market and knowing where it's at. Things were moving quickly, so it was something that was possible. So I was, using a lot of my own money, and I'd partner up with people on my team, and we'd make a pretty good return on it. Thankfully, all of the renovations I had have, pretty much closed out. I have one with a lot of money in it right now, and I'm desperately trying to get that one closed. But it is what it is. I mean, you can't get ahead if you don't take a risk. I know some of the bigger companies offer it to where, they'll do it. For me, I think going back to kind of what Rusty said, I have a huge network of people under me that I support. I had three painters working almost full time, 2 contractors working almost full time. Like, it meant a lot for me to be able to give these guys so much business, and how thankful they are to reciprocate in the small jobs that they do. I can get someone to go quote me a paint job tomorrow or fix something tomorrow, whereas a lot of other people don't have those resources. So I think, got kind of scared. I did fund a lot. I got, all my money tenfold back. I don't think I would do it in this climate right now. But it has gained so much, loyalty from the people that worked with me. And I feel really good about, all the money that I was able to dish out for them to make. I supported a lot of people at that time when I was doing it. So my own money. Yeah. You can write a note. And you just write up a note, and you'll be able to, if need be, I work out an agreement with the owners. We're going to sign this note. I'm not going to put a lien on the property. This is just for my protection. And, if we pay out and everything gets done good, we're good. If not, then I'll submit it to the county and we'll get it, I'll have a lien on the property.
Yeah, and I've done this probably about a dozen times in my career, and I think the number one thing I'll say is who you are doing it with really matters. So the listing matters, the seller motivation matters, and just the human being across the table, like anyone you're doing business with, is critical, right? Because, and especially now, it's just a very dangerous spot, especially if you're not flush with cash, right? So I think there's a lot of measures to be talked about.
There's a couple ways that we've done it. First is the same thing. It's our own money. Second is you build really good contractor-vendor relationships that they're willing to be paid out of escrow. If you have a really good working relationship with them, you probably could get to a point where you can get that agreement. And then third is our company, our brokerage has in the past given us up to $150,000 across one property, across 5 properties, as long as there's documentation for it and they have some information that the seller needs to fill out to be able to provide that service.
Yeah, and don't do this to get a listing, guys. Like, that's the worst thing you can do. There better be a freaking premium on that commission. I'm assuming that's what Lex is talking about. So we better be going to 7-8%, right? Making it worth our while. Was there was another question out here somewhere? I don't know if this is too far from my microphone. Oh, yeah. This is from Amazon, so.
Hey, thanks. Hey, Rusty, my name's Zach Sit. Rusty, you said that a seller you give them 3 options, A, B, C, and you said B is if they care more about the process. What does that mean about the seller?
So A, B, and C is A is getting top dollar, B is the easiest possible process, and C is having the right cabinet.
Are you racist?
So A means that person is a high achiever. That's somebody that wants to go through pain in order to get the best possible result. B is what you're asking about, which is the easiest possible process. That's somebody who wants to avoid pain. So if you tell them that you're going to remodel their house and they have to move out or they have to live without a kitchen, that's not the person to get all excited about a kitchen remodel. So that's kind of what I meant by that.
Yeah, so ease in the process more than anything. Do me a favor, guys. Introduce yourself when you get on the microphone. That we're here to network as well and support each other. So,
How's it going, everybody? I'm Anthony from Chicago Title, San Carlos.
Unless you're a vendor.
There we go. I was waiting for it. There's always the first one. But you guys are on this panel and you guys speak with such confidence. Could I get maybe a bullet point for a new agent on how to gain the sense of confidence to do stuff like this, to stand on panels, to go on to listing presentations, and so on and so forth?
And that's yourself.
Really wonderful question, and I think we all know the answer. You got to do it, right? So when you're at your office, ask to speak, stand up. I remember being in Keller Williams, Palo Alto 7 years ago, getting up, asking for open houses, and I was scared shitless. I was literally shaking to get up in front of the office and just say, who has open houses? I was so scared. So we were all there. And I'm even a high ID, right? So for a guy who's extroverted to be scared, it's not just you, it's everyone. And you just have to have that ability to get into an uncomfortable position very often. Very often. Anywhere you see a moment, so like right now would be a really great time to stand up and ask a question or just talk if you're feeling nervous.
As a introvert, it is conditioning. And it's 10, 11, 15, 17, however many years we've been doing it. And I think if you can condense the challenging, the uncomfortableness of what you could do from a 3-year window to a 1.5 or 1 year window, you're going to come out of that a hell of a lot stronger of a presenter and much less nervous, and reinterpret that nervousness as you're excited to do what you're about to do.
Yeah, I think that's actually a really good question, because, to use this example, I took a bus to a listing presentation in Atherton once, and I think there's just a certain amount of like you can't care anymore about what it looks like to get the job done and get where you want to. So that guy that took the bus was really hungry. And, I think wearing like the old prom outfit, and like it couldn't have been more ragtag. Didn't get it signed, but I went, I did it. You just really have to put yourself out there.
I think for me, the confidence comes from knowing what the fuck you're talking about. Okay? So if you want to be confident, in my opinion, you need to practice your skills. You need to be at the office meetings, finding out what other more experienced agents are doing. Also find out what they're saying about the market so that you can learn those things. Then you can practice those things, and then you can use them on clients. So really knowing what you're talking about and practicing what you're going to say will automatically make you more confident.
So I'm a little bit different. I've been giving speeches and like public speaking since I was younger. I love doing it. So it's never been something that has been, scary for me or anything like that. But, the thing I realize is that going back to, having a mentor, I could be as confident as I want, but the first appointment, I tell the story a lot. The first appointment I went with on my mentor, I don't even remember what he said because I was so in awe of, how he was delivering, what he was saying. It was just so shocking to me. And I walked out realizing that I know nothing about the business. I've been in the business 4 years. I know absolutely nothing. So finding someone who has been doing it for years, doing it right, saying the right things. Because look, everyone stages the property. We all, clean. We all photograph. Like, we all do the basic stuff. But being creative and coming up with different things and evolving your presentation from just the basic is really what's going to take you to the next level.
Awesome. Thank you.
Great question, and you didn't tell me you were a title officer. That's sneaky. Okay.
Hi, my name's Dominique Barrios. I'm with Compass in Burlingame. I'm not sure if you guys do new builds, but the area that I farm in has a lot of new builds. So my question is, how do you build that relationship with developers and get your foot in the door with those kind of things?
Great question. Who wants to take this one? You want to send it to Joe?
Bring a buyer. I mean, honestly, you have to be in there showing the property. You have to be in there every time you bring a buyer, or every time you are promoting on social media. So many different avenues to get the property out there. Be showing the builder, be showing the people in the office that you're making that attempt, and you're constantly there. You're constantly doing things to promote their business. It's always about what you can do for someone else, right? And that's what's gonna get things in return for you. So we actually just went. There's a huge development in Los Gatos, and we took our whole team there yesterday, and we went. I think we went 15 people on my team. We all went, and I saw another girl that I know has a listing there, and she has a good relationship with the builder. And what I was telling them and what they want is just look, sell a couple units. We need to sell some units, and then we'll put our faith in you guys to go ahead and promote it. But if you start promoting it with their approval, but without them really giving you the go ahead and just start doing it, you'll show that you're committed to selling units there. And I think that'll slowly start, changing their mind.
Yeah, I think it's just about the relationship, right? And then also, what are the one thing that investors and developers want? Deals. They want freaking deals, right? So if you're pulling up to people who are looking to develop with opportunities, they're going to get in bed with you. Oh, was there?
Hi, my name's Jessica Vergano. I'm with Compass. Question for you guys. How do you get from farm and they call you to land the actual list appointment?
What time do you want me to come over? I'll give this to maybe Rusty, you want to take this one?
So I basically, when somebody calls and says that they want, or that they're thinking about selling their home and they want to talk to me, I immediately am trying to go to their house. Literally, if they call me at 11, I'm ready to go at 11:15. So I think they called you, right? Is that your question? They already want you to come over. Okay, well, they don't really want you to come over, actually, especially if you're like me and sell in the Silicon Valley. They're all a bunch of computer nerds, and they don't actually want people at their house. But they kind of need you to come over, right? So that's already done. So just set the appointment. Literally just say, is it okay if I come today at 12 o'clock, or how about at 1:30? Just give them two options and just go straight from there. But before that, be ready to be there. So have your listing presentation and all the materials that you would bring on a listing, have those ready every day. There used to be a thing that people say, dress like you're going on a $2 million listing appointment every day. So that way, if you get the call, you're ready to go. This is how I would go to a $2 million listing presentation. But the point is that you have to be ready when they call.
I love that. Anyone want to add to that at all? Wilson?
Two things. If there's a commonality of what you're saying at every consultation, create a video around it. It shows that you're willing to put yourself out there, and you can send it pre-appointment between your call to the appointment, where it probably answers their questions, and you cut your appointment time quite a bit. You can talk about more important stuff that maybe they have their answers for. And the second thing is, I send my listing coordinator at or after I line that up. So I'm always trial closing by suggesting that there's going to be something that you're going to have to do with me because it's beneficial for you, not because I just want to sign a listing.
Yeah, and one of the objections you may get is, hey, can't you just look at it online? Like, I've heard that a million times. And you just want to say, are you going to trust my opinion on a $2 million asset without me seeing it? Like, come on. Like, anyone who's going to give you a valuation of your property without seeing it is crazy, right?
So I guess my question is, Diana with eXp Realty out of San Jose, and I live in San Mateo. So my question is, how do you know if it's a listing appointment or a preview appointment? Like, I did cold calling yesterday just, to prep for here, and I got somebody who said, yeah, I want to sell in 3 months, and I said, I'd like to come by, check out your property. He's like, yeah, come by, it's Friday at 6. Is that a listing appointment? Is that a preview, and how do I prepare? Tip.
Do you guys mind if I feel this? So one of the things that I really preach, especially if it's not something like these guys are procuring, which are someone who's calling you from your farming is motivated. That's much different than the call that you're getting. A lot of our agents call cancer and expireds, and one of the things that we preach is qualifying these sellers, right? And asking them on the phone, don't be fearful of that conversation, right? When are you looking to sell? 3 months. Why 3 months? Could it be 6 months? Could it be 1 month? Like, digging deeper on their motivation is critical, right? So you understand why they want to sell in 3 months. And then if it's, we got to sell in 3 months because my kid is moving to India and we have to, go to India with them, right? Whatever it is, you got to get down to that why. And if it's 3 months, then it's, I got to get to your house right now so we can start preparing, right? So like, yeah, and we can help them with the permit, right? I got to come over and see the house so we can get this process going. So clearly qualifying the seller and qualifying price and qualifying motivation for me is critical because I'm not driving to San Jose for a seller who just wants, a valuation. That's just me. You might have the time to do that. I don't know. Yeah.
Annie. Hi, I'm Angela. I'm with the PorchLight Bay Area team. My question for you guys is, with so many listings, how do you schedule your free time, honestly? Like, I could see with buyers, you could send someone else to go show them maybe, but with listings, if you get an offer, that's kind of timely. Like, how do you schedule that and just keep to that? Or is that possible?
We'll go Wilson, and I'd like to hear from Lex on this as well.
So here's what I do for my listings nowadays. I field the call. I show up to my office to grab the folder. I go to the appointment. I describe the process, does it make sense? Itemize what it's going to look like working with us. My listing coordinator is the one that follows up to sign the agreement. My listing coordinator is the one that coordinates all the vendors. My listing coordinator is the one that does everything up to setting a price. I set the price. Takes about maybe 30 minutes, sometimes through text. And then you're right, the main thing that I cannot control is when an offer comes in. And that's going to take a little bit more of my time. And of course, offers are time sensitive. But if you think about what I've done, it's really the important things, but very little time intensive. And shout out to my listing coordinator, Melissa, in the back right there, in a leather jacket. So, and she and I and our team have coordinated 40 successful sales so far this year. And it's all her. I just show up and do the talking and try to look good, I guess.
Ditto. Same for me. Sandra, my assistant / partner now, is doing a lot of deals and really killing it. Kind of manages everything. We got a pretty big setup. We do a lot of our printing in-house. So we have other assistants that take care of that. And I like to be in the office and, bundling flyers. I like doing that stuff. I feel that when you put in the work, the listings come. So she actually manages a lot of it. I also co-list with a lot of people. So I really empower the people that I co-list with. I try to let them run it. I try not to step on their toes. I think that's how you learn best. So a lot of my time is at the office helping agents, kind of, hanging out, not doing too much. I have a lot of time on my hands thanks to, the people that I work with. And but I also know that that's making them great as well, right? The experience that they're getting is, I never had that. I didn't get my first listing till I think 4 or 5 years in, which is crazy to me. Right. So, there's hope for everybody. But I know how, I was trained, once I did get, with my old partner and, he kind of took care of everything and did everything. And I do the opposite. I like to let my team do it. So they take care of a lot of it. I handle all the offers that come in and the negotiation and that side of it. But everything else is kind of taken care of, through my team.
And I would say, honestly, buyers should take a significant more amount of time than your listings should if you know what you're doing. Maybe now in this market, you can get buyers through the pipeline pretty quick. I know a guy out of San Diego who will sell over 100 units as an agent on a team, and he's getting buyers through in like 27 days, which is pretty good. But even at 27 days, you're putting in hours, right, showing those properties. And the listings, you can do almost everything from your office or your home, right? There's just not much you need to show up to. Oh, shit. What did he just hit? Oh, your flag. Bye to your flag, dude. What time is it, guys? You got a time? All right, guys, let's do 2 more questions. Nope. No affiliate questions, even though you had a great question. You had a great question. Chicago title. I forget what office.
Thank you guys for your time. My name is Deborah from Own Real Estate from Millbrae, and I'm curious for you guys. Can you walk me through what you would do today if you were... Can you walk me through what you would do today if you were to start over? Things that would not be obvious to a new agent? Thank you.
Great question. Maybe we'll just run down maybe 1 tip per agent, and then we'll do 1 more question. And then before we leave, guys, make sure to get food, and also make sure to follow everyone, tag everyone on your social media. That's the thanks that I'd like you to give to them for their time today, as well as myself. Let's start with Lex, and then we'll go down the line.
2 things. 1, walk. I'd start walking right away every day. Good exercise. Doesn't take long. Your goal is 100 contacts a day, and you can make that, an hour, hour and a half, every morning, and spend very minimal. And the second is just open houses every weekend. I never had that opportunity. Again, I didn't get a listing for 4 years. I barely, if any, did any open houses, through those first 4 years. My team gets open houses as many as they want. So, it's just, I didn't have the opportunities. Knowing what I know now, I think I can get there a lot faster.
I'd say get a mentor, follow somebody. Try to find somebody in the office that you can add value to them in exchange for them helping you get started. Get a mentor so you know what you're talking about and you can actually do this business with some expertise.
I'm going to second the open houses. I think that is the mecca. People coming to you that want to talk about real estate. It doesn't get much better than that. And then the other thing would be practice your scripts, because I don't know how many appointments or things I screwed up because I didn't know what to say or how to answer somebody. It's not difficult if you practice.
You have 162 hours in a week. Of course, not all of them are work hours. If you predetermine that 20 hours should be working, if you're a new agent, I would only count being in front of people as working. So that's walking your farm, that's talking up at the supermarket, that's going to that local event, that's going to church, whatever it is for you. If this is truly a full-time job, can you dedicate 20 hours being in front of people? Everything else will fall in place, because what these guys said, it's contacts. It's all it is. Everything else will figure itself out, because you're going to have people to help because you're in front of more people expressing that you're an agent.
And I just talk about this all the time, just being in control of your schedule and time blocking. Every single thing that these guys just said needs to be in your calendar, and you need to follow your calendar. I just can't tell you how many agents want to make hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars, but they run their life very differently than what they project they want. So I'd say put it in your calendar and follow the calendar. It's just that simple. It's just that simple. If you're walking, you got a time block for that, right? If you have kids, other things going on in your life, you're going to have to time block for walking. You're going to have to time block for open houses. You're going to have to time block for however you're making those contacts. All right, one more good question, and then we'll wrap it up. Who's got the finale question? Anybody else? Oh, damn. I was trying to get back to... I know, you're good.
Hi, everyone. Gabby Perez, Toscana Properties out of San Jose. My question to you guys is, what company do you use for your marketing material? I would really like to know.
By the way, social media, Lex Sells Homes. Follow me, and I'll show you all my stuff. We do a lot of it in-house. I've bought a lot of machinery over time, but I use Copa. But you just got to search it out. You got to go to different vendors and tell them your pricing, and they'll beat it. It's hard right now with paper, but just search around. That should be part of the job. I mean, I've spent 8 years, trying to get my pricing down. I get a lot of things half off. People, don't know where I get the stuff from. It's a lot of it's lucky breaks and who you talk to, but I've spent so many hours researching getting it down because I know I'm going to inject so much into that, part of it. So I spend a lot of time, and I'm still all the time trying to find better pricing. So I'm always looking around. One vendor's not going to do it. I go here for my envelopes, here for my paper, here for my thicker paper. Stamps I get somewhere else. I'm just all across the board with many different people.
I buy paper on Amazon, have it delivered to the office. I print at the office. Joey does most of the printing for me. Our office gives me a break on that printing. When we do print outside, is a place in Santa Clara called Print Papa. And they're basically, if you go to a print shop, they send it to Print Papa to do it. So instead of going to the print store, you can actually go straight to the source. And then he mentioned Copa. There's a company called Copacabana that is very good when it comes to putting together mailers. They do the design, print, and they'll actually deliver them to the post office for you at a very inexpensive cost.
Yeah, I'm like you. I need to learn where to get this stuff, so.
We pay a year in advance at Corfact, and they give us competitive pricing. But if they go bankrupt, then you lose all your money. So just be careful.
So go start using Corfact to protect Wilson, his investment. One thing you can do as a new agent is partner with other agents in your office. So if you want to do, 1,000 flyers, partner with someone else who wants to do 1,000 flyers, take your 2,000 units, go shop that around. That you're going to get better pricing than doing 1,000 on yourself. Also, find great lender partners and find great people who will support you as affiliates, and you can do co-marketing spend that can really reduce your cost on marketing spend. So if you're driving in buyer traffic, giving introductions to lenders, they can do co-marketing with you. Other local businesses can do co-marketing with you. So you can get pretty creative and drive business to those businesses, which will then, have that kind of looping interaction. So that's it for us today, guys. But before we go, we will be throwing another event every single month moving forward. So we have all your emails. We're going to be going after you guys. So if this was valuable, please, once again, show some love to these guys. Listing Legends. Thank you, guys.